You know what I smell? I smell a new superhero deep dive. Welcome to the show, everyone. As always, I'm your host, Jason. I have a new episode, pretty good episode scheduled for today. Got a lot to cover. Let me get my disclaimers out of the way and we will get into it. Now, the information is pulled from different sources across the internet and may or may not be completely complete, but they do give a really good insight on the current superhero. If you ever want to reach out, you can always catch me every Tuesday and Thursday on Outworld Fleet Radio. They actually have a new web address they just migrated to. It's outworldfleetradio.online. And it will have all the shows there. It'll have times. It'll have links to my YouTube and my Instagram, stuff like that. But you can also catch me on Instagram and Twitter under Super Deep Dive. I try to use the hashtag superherodeepdive. You can email me directly at b4itall at yahoo.com. And you can catch me on YouTube under Superhero Deep Dive. Please catch me on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the notification bell. I don't know, all that good stuff. Leave comments on the videos. Put requests in for future episodes. Let's have a conversation. I am all about it. And the YouTube channel is actually the best way because I get all the notifications and everything gets acknowledged. And I also post every day with superhero memes. And I post a couple times a week with animal videos, so you have a good laugh with it too. Alright, with that out of the way, I am covering the hero Cypher. His real name is Doug Ramsey, or Douglas Ramsey. He is not a financial guru, but he might be. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he is independently wealthy. We'll have to read and find out. He was born to Philip and Sheila Ramsey. Now, Doug became friends with Kitty Pryde, whom he met after she moved to Westchester County to join Charles Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, and with whom she shares an interest in video games, computers, and computer technology. Kitty's talent for building hardware complements Doug's skills at writing software. Now, Professor X had met Doug and suspected that he actually had a mutant power, probably connected with communications, but did not approach him to join the school, perhaps feeling a passive power like that might go unnoticed. Subsequently, Doug was offered a scholarship to attend Emma Frost's Massachusetts Academy. He did not know at the time that Emma Frost was one of the X-Men's adversaries at the time. And when Kitty Pryde accompanied him to his first trip to the Academy, she was captured and later rescued by the New Mutants. Though Doug's memory of the mutant-related events was wiped by Frost, he does not accept the scholarships for reasons not elaborated on. I think that with things like that, a good way to explain it is that even though his mind was wiped from the event, he still had an uneasy feeling because of the impact, the negative impact. And I think that would be a good way to explain it. But that's just me, who's read comics all his life. I don't know anything except the comics that I've read. Anyways, Doug later became a member of the New Mutants after the arrival of the techno-organic alien Warlock, whose inability to communicate with the children requires them to seek out Doug to use his linguistic abilities. In doing so, it is revealed to Doug that both he and they are all mutants and superheroes. With Doug's predisposition for technology and being more readily available and able to understand Warlock than most others, the two of them became fast friends. Whereas Warlock referred to his teammates with the prefix self-friend, eventually, after Doug saves his life by offering to share some of his own life energy with Warlock, Warlock gives Doug the unique identifier of self-soul friend. So, self-friend and self-soul friend are Doug's pronouns, I guess, if we want to look at it like that. Now, Doug's mutant power is the ability to intuitively understand and translate any form of communication, whether it's written, spoken, or nonverbal, and regardless of whether the origin of the language is human, computer, or even alien. His power is not related to his intellect, but it often allows him to make leaps of comprehension that he cannot explain to anyone else, but which are invariably accurate. He was, for instance, able to translate the language of a long-dead species without any common terms of reference within a matter of hours. An established hacker, he becomes the team's computer expert and researcher, writing programs for the X-Men's Danger Room. Doug is the only one of the original New Mutants who never tells his parents he is a mutant, and because he fears the rejection so much. Now, despite being instrumental in many of the team's successful missions, including those involving saving lives, Doug suffers from occasional feelings of inadequacy, kind of like imposter syndrome. These feelings are driven back by his lack of offensive power capabilities, they're driven by his lack of offensive power capabilities, and the way Warlock often encapsulates him to provide defense in times of danger. This is illustrated during a journey to Asgard where he was defeated in combat by a serving maid. Well, you know, it sucks to suck. Later, Warlock explains to Doug that they can perform a self-merge, in which they merge the substance of their bodies to create a being with Doug's form but Warlock's techno-organic surface texture. This allows them full access to both their powers, but runs a severe risk of irreversibly infecting Doug with the transmode virus and turning him into a techno-organic being like Warlock. Cypher used his abilities to discover a means of saving Leela Cheney's Dyson Sphere home base from destruction as well. Now, when introduced, Doug was already close friends with Kitty Pryde, and Kitty was having issues both with the divorce of her parents and with her uncertain relationship with Piotr Rasputin. And I know I said that wrong, and I'm sorry. Peter Rasputin. Colossus. Her relationship with Colossus. And Doug was there for her. He was interested in pursuing a romantic relationship with her, as evidenced by the illusion Emma Frost created to distract him, but Kitty was uncertain, and eventually they decided to remain friends. Yeah, he got friend-zoned because he was depicted as a computer nerd, whereas Colossus is this huge, super strong, super buff artist. Like, I'm sorry, he was friend-zoned before he even got close. Anyways, Cypher helped rescue Betsy Braddock from Mojo. This involved venturing deep into Braddock's mind and rescuing her psyche from being torn apart by Mojo's servant Spiral. The shared experience created a deep emotional bond between the two, though their different ages created awkward feelings between them. Later, Doug entered a relationship with teammate Renee Sinclair, who's Wolfsbane, which was cut short by his death not long thereafter. Yeah, you know, dying will do that to a relationship. Definitely, I can understand. Now, alongside the other New Mutants, Doug temporarily joined the Hellions. When the Magus attacked, Doug reprogrammed the Magus into an infant state. And after the team rescues a humanoid bird creature named Birdbrain, you gotta love the naming on this, Doug is initially jealous of Renee's affection for him. But after Doug manages to understand and translates the creature's language, he and Renee bond with Birdbrain. And when Birdbrain sets out to free the other mutants who were enslaved by the Animator, a geneticist working for Cameron Hodge, the New Mutants follow him. Though the is it Animator or Animator? I think it's Animator. Even though he's defeated, he fatally shoots Doug, who takes a bullet intended for Renee. Magneto, leader of the New Mutants at the time, explains Doug's death to his parents as a hunting accident. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at the fact that it's a hunting accident. I'm laughing at the fact that I think during the time this happened, there was like a politician that shot another politician in the face and was like, yeah, it's a hunting accident, and just let it be. And somehow it got through. So I don't know. And I don't remember the whole story. I just remember that it was really weird. But anyways, a grief-stricken Warlock tries to steal Doug's body in a confused attempt to reanimate it, but his teammates convince him to return the body. Doug's ghost later appears to Wolfsbane when she visits his grave in the cemetery, and he later appears in a fantasy staged by Captain Britain's patron Merlin to aid Excalibur in exposing and battling the vengeful spirit of the late X-Men Changeling. Warlock is subsequently murdered by Cameron Hodge during the Extinction Agenda storyline, and his ashes are scattered on Doug's grave at the request of Wolfsbane. Later, the alien Phalanx, a corrupt subset of the more powerful alien race known as the Technarchy, which is Warlock's race, resurrects Warlock with Doug's memories and appearance, intending to use him as a Trojan horse to infiltrate the X-Men. This entity, called Douglock, breaks free of the Phalanx programming and joins Excalibur for a time, unaware of his real identity as Warlock. Now this being calling himself Douglock believes himself to be a new entity based on the genetic and mental engrams of Cypher and Warlock. This entity had another relationship with Wolfsbane. He became a valued part of Excalibur and a mentor to Megan, who we did a deep dive on, who needed further basics schooling. After Excalibur disbanded, Warlock's personality resurfaces, but now exhibits more human speech patterns and appearances. Warlock manifests Doug's translation powers and maintains a copy of Doug's memory, but his personality is not active. Cypher is later resurrected via the transmode virus by Selene and Eli Bard, and after Selene tasks him to kill Magma, he clubs Magma, like he just knocks her in the head. He's confronted by his teammates, during which he displays a greatly enhanced ability to read body language and anticipate actions, but is dispatched by his teammates. Warlock attempts to restore Cypher's true personality, but is infected by a Trojan programming code that incapacitates him, after which Cypher decapitates him. Cypher is then kidnapped by the Hellions, who wish to reprogram him, but is rescued by his teammates, who sever his connection to Selene, restoring his original personality and free will. The transmode virus which rebuilt his body is still present, but Cypher has reprogrammed it to be in permanent remission. Now in 2010, during the Second Coming storyline, Doug analyzes a fight between the New Mutants and Cameron Hodge and concludes that the New Mutants would be killed if they went up against him. He therefore convinces Warlock to kill and absorb Hodge and several of his men. Later, Doug joins X-Force on a time-traveling mission to stop the invasion of advanced Sentinels from the future. Cable and Cypher infiltrate a Master Mold installation and attempt to hack into the grid, but the Master Mold discovers Cypher and tries to assimilate him in order to add his linguistic skills to its own. However, in doing so, it allows Cypher to access its programming, and he subsequently overrides the Master Mold and deactivates all the Nibrods, invading Utopia. Now, following the Schism event of the X-Men, Cypher with most of the New Mutants decided to move to San Francisco. While maintaining a sense of independence from both Cyclops and Wolverine sides of the X-Men, they still report to Cyclops cleaning up unfinished business. While trying to track down Blink, the New Mutants uncover a rock band that has some connection to natural disasters occurring nearby. Cypher is able to track down the source, which is an alien device that has crashed to Earth, brainwashing the band and giving them the power to cause the disasters to power itself up. The alien device manages to affect Cypher as well before the band is defeated and the device is hurled into space. The team is later warned by Doctor Strange and the Silver Surfer that an event is occurring that has implications across time and space and seems to be focused on the New Mutants. This is seen when several temporal anomalies occur and Karma and Cannonball, having both left the team for Winchester, disappear. Following this, Karma and Cannonball, aged 10 years and outfitted in Warlock-like technovirus suits, arrive from the future. Their mission was to stop the alien-empowered rock band, needing to change places with the present Karma and Cannonball to do it. Having been detained by the present New Mutants, they explained that they were trying to prevent Doug from being exposed to the alien device, and in the future, having been corrupted by the device, the True Friend has spliced Warlock's tech into everyone in the guise of protecting them, but also becoming a dictator in the process. Controlling Cannonball and Karma's suit from the future, the True Friend is defeated when Cypher is able to merge with the True Friend's Warlock tech and shut down his control. Afterwards, Cannonball and Karma switch places with the present counterparts, preventing True Friend from interfering with Cypher anymore. both present Cannonball and Danny agree that they need to watch Doug more carefully. That was a lot. That was a lot of back and forth for that story. That I don't know. I just don't know. But basically the outcome of that whole story of the True Friend and Cannonball and Karma was that Cypher needs to be watched more carefully. So you're welcome. The True Friend soon attacks again, managing to overwrite reality from the future, creating small changes that are soon noticed by the team. So he was his own Mandela effect. In an attempt to prevent the future self from harming his friends, Doug attempts suicide only to be prevented by the undead, still techno-organic Hellions. You know what I bet he also did? I bet he also changed Berenstain Bears to Berenstain Bears. I bet. Anyways. I don't even know where I am anymore. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, the True Friend manages to override the present Doug, transforming him into a creature resembling the alien device that altered his brain in the first place. The rest of the team is soon taken over by True Friend, while Danny is immune thanks to her Valkyrie powers. Okay. Brought to the future, Danny is able to defeat True Friend with the help of Cypher, who had gained some influence over the True Friend. This defeat in the future causes reality to be corrected, with everyone back to normal in the present, and the Berenstain Bears still being the Berenstain Bears and not the Berenstein Bears, even if you remember it as the Berenstein Bears. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Anyways, Doctor Strange then excises the alien device's influences on Cypher, preventing the seen future from coming to pass. Cypher is also the only mutant who can communicate with the island Krakoa and interpret the island's sentiments to the leaders of mutantdom. Cypher now sits on the Quiet Council and acts as the voice of Krakoa. In addition to his Quiet Council duties, Cypher has participated in the New Mutant space mission to visit Cannonball, missions to help Nightcrawler and Storm, and was one of Krakoa's representatives in the Exoswords conflict. He is forced by Saturnine into an arranged marriage with Bay the Blood Moon of Araco, being far larger and more physically powerful than him, but who fascinates him due to his inability to understand her. Despite the communication barrier, Cypher appears to be enjoying the marriage. Let me tell you, as someone that's been married almost 20 years, communication... it's something you're working on, so there's always a communication barrier. Sometimes it's better than others, but there's always a communication barrier. So good luck with that, Doug. Oh my goodness. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think of Cypher? Like, there's a whole lot of, to me, it read like a whole lot of nothing. But he's got potential, right? Let me get into his powers to help you kind of focus on it. Cypher is a mutant who possesses the superhuman intuitive facility for translating languages, spoken or written, human or alien in origin. His superhuman skill is extended to his great facility or faculty in deciphering codes and computer languages. He's also able to read inflection and body language, which allows him to understand the vast subtext of a conversation. Rather than working the problem out step by step in his conscious mind, he instead subconsciously solves a problem. Hence, he can reach the correct solution by means that appear to be leaps of logic, and he himself may not actually be aware of the entire process that he reaches the right answer with. Like, it just happens. Now, since his resurrection by Selene's use of a modified techno-organic virus, Cypher's powers have evolved to the point where he can actually read all aspects of language. He's able to read his opponent's body language and the patterns of their combat moves in order to counter the attacks of several opponents attacking him at once. By considering the exercise of combat skills to be a form of language, he proved a match for the entire New Mutant team. He is also able to read architectural structure and integrity in order to ascertain a building's weaknesses. He also appears capable of speaking binary, giving verbal commands in machine code that can reprogram in the machine. Cypher is an expert at translating and designing computer software. He took university level courses in language and computer science, and he can hack some of the most protected computers. Cypher has also been infected by the techno-organic viruses on multiple occasions, and the presence of the virus has allowed him at times to cheat death and to demonstrate techno-organic shapeshifting, transmode infection, and life absorption abilities. Cypher was also taught by an imprisoned magic on how to cast a mystical teleportation spell that allows him to transport himself and others to hell. So, yeah, that's a lot. So this dude can read any kind of language that he can even consider a language. You know, body language. He's good. I can read buildings with their architectural language. He's good. You know, I think that's a stretch, but whatever. You know, it's just one of those things. But fun facts. In 2014, Entertainment Weekly ranked Cypher, Doug Ramsey, Doug Locke, Warlock, whatever incarnation you want. They just kind of grouped them all together as number 48 in their Let's Rank Every X-Men Ever list. And Cypher's death in New Mutants number 60 was heavily influenced by the fan reception of the character. According to Louis Simonson, Marvel would get letters from fans about how much they hated him. Marvel never got any letters from people saying that they liked him until he was actually dead. There's also been a writing campaign from lots of readers who hated him and thought he was boring and wanted us to get rid of him. Preferably, they just really wanted him dead. And Simonson had also cited that artists disliked the character because he wasn't fun to draw and just stood around and hid behind a tree during a fight. So he was not liked, like, universally. But, you know, it's funny that they say, like, we didn't hear from people that liked him until he was dead. And that's because, you know, if you ever look at, like, restaurant reviews, you have to take them with a grain of salt, right? Because people like to complain in general. They don't like to compliment. So you have to kind of take everything with a grain of salt. And this is no different. This is no different. But what do you guys think? Let me know. Like I said, you can reach out to me via email if you want. It's B4itall, so B4itall at yahoo.com. You can catch me on Twitter or Instagram under superdeepdive. I try to use the hashtag superherodeepdive. And you can catch me on YouTube under superherodeepdive, where you can comment, like, subscribe, share. If you have fun facts you know that I didn't catch, let me know. If there were other things about this character that you liked, let me know. Let's have a conversation about it. Because I may have missed something. And it's very possible, because Cypher is known to comic book fans, but not really known outside of that. But speaking of that, let me get into my final thoughts. Now, Cypher was always kind of a joke character to me growing up. Like he was in the background, and he was kind of like an intel kind of character. He was always able to help, but he wasn't the main guy by any means. He came back later and was like the ultimate fighter because he could read people's body language. And when this happened, I was really excited and thought that he could be like the coolest mutant ever. Then reality kicked in, and you know, like, dude, this isn't really that realistic, even by Marvel standards. And I say this in relation to, I can read the structural integrity of a building. I can read its architecture language. I can do this. Like, dude, just stop. Like, just stop. You know, not everything is a language. One of the things he always tried to say is, like, everything is a language, so I am everything. And it's not. It's not. Sorry. I don't agree with it. And I think that was a stretch for the character that maybe stretched it. You went from kind of a barely decent character to someone that was really cool, and then you kind of went back down to, like, we don't even want to deal with this anymore. So I liked him back in the really cool area. But is Doug Locke, is Doug Ramsey, is Cypher, is he really a viable character? And for me, this may be controversial, but I say not in a team. He's not. Like I said, this is just my opinion. but I think he's best served on his own, but not necessarily in an outward sense. Like, what I'd like to see is Cypher as a James Bond super spy kind of scenario. Like, theoretically speaking, in my opinion, Cypher could totally be the next John Wick, and I'm going to explain why. Like, let's let him keep his body language reading skills and all that stuff. And have him be able to read where people are aiming their guns, so he can effectually dodge bullets by the most minute gestures. Like, just a simple, like, tilt of the head, or move my arm slightly this way and it's gonna miss. You know, like, stuff like that. Like, he can defend himself with similar things, understand foreign languages, and crack computer systems with relative ease. So these things scream spy action movies to me, and I think we should totally exploit that. Like, let Cypher be the guy to get in, gather intelligence when no one else can. Let's have him be in the Thunderbolts movie, and get him into the MCU ASAP. In fact, I've even got a casting choice with it. I wanted to use Jay Baruchel as Cypher. And if you know the name, that's great. If you don't, he's the dude from Sorcerer's Apprentice. Like, he's kind of this lanky, awkward guy that could totally play this character in a serious, comical way. And that could potentially be an amazing combination with that seriousness and comedy at the same time. But what do you think? Am I off base with this? Do I have something here? What would you do with the character? Let me know. Like I said, you can reach out to me via email at b4itall, so b4itall@yahoo.com. You can catch me on Twitter or Instagram under Super Deep Dive, and I use the hashtag superherodeepdive, or try to at least. Or you can catch me on YouTube, which is probably the best way, under Superhero Deep Dive. Comment, like, subscribe, share, help me grow the channel, all that good stuff. Let's have a discussion about this. And like I said, if I missed anything, let me know. Like, let's do this. Let's see what's going on so that we can get things taken care of with the character and develop something that could be really cool. But I can totally see him being on the Thunderbolts team, even though I said I don't think he's worth being in a team. I can see him being in that environment, gathering intel and stuff and relaying it, and then they run their missions. And that would be also kind of a cool little Easter egg type thing. But what do you guys think? Let me know. I think I'm gonna head out for now. Next week I am covering another mutant. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I've got a lot of things coming up. But in the meantime, guys, I hope you're all blessed. I hope you're all happy. I hope you're all safe, and I hope you're all smart. And if you're not smart, don't get caught. Everyone be good. Enjoy yourselves. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.